Okay, just wanted to expand on the video I made yesterday on how to get these animations, GSAP-like animations without GSAP, just using the built-in Elementor features and a bit of custom CSS and a code snippet. The snippet that I put up there was this code snippet here. So this is using the plugin called Code Snippets. I'll update this at the end of this tutorial. And basically, you'll be able to just import the snippet that I've uploaded, and you'll end up with this code snippet here, which adds 5 custom animations, and then you can add the CSS based on these rules here. So when a widget animates, it will add this class to it with a bunch of animation classes, and then that's the way that we apply the CSS. So you can include additional ones here if you want to. Okay, so going back to this demo, yesterday we just looked at these 3 lines and this top animation here. So I'm going to expand on, I talked a little bit about my CSS where I allow for inner animations, and I'll explain that a bit shortly. So if I just do an F5 here and just look at the original animations, we've got the lines and the top header animating in and out. We've now got a block reveal at the top using the secondary global color, the block reveal in the middle here using the accent global color. We've got a clip reveal from top, which means it's going to slide down from the top, and just have a look at that again. So the 3 animations we've got there are there. Okay, so the way we do this is come back to here. So all, again, we do is go to our motion effects. And on this first one, we're just going to make that WPG custom 3. And we're going to tell it to delay by 1 second to allow for these other animations. This one here is WPG custom 3 as well. I'll explain that, but that's delayed by 1.5 seconds. And this one here is a WPG custom 4 delayed by 2 seconds. The difference between these two is on the first one and the second one, they're both WPG custom 3, but I've got an extra class on here to tell it what kind of color I want for the background. In this case, the first one is going to use my secondary color. The second one's going to use my accent color. So let's jump on over to the CSS and have a look at the first one. So again, I put it into my site settings and custom CSS. So you might recall yesterday I mentioned that I add these variables here so that I can animate inner elements. So with this block animation, we're not animating the entire widget, so we don't want the whole thing to move. What we want to do is use the before pseudo selector to add a block which is behind this. We want to animate that. We don't want to animate the entire widget. So the way Elementor works, it will add the animation classes, including the speeds. So if we have a look at this one here, for example, my Chrome DevTools, if we have a look at this one here and we look at the widget, we see that the animation, there we go, is animated here. Okay, so it's added to there. If I change the, let me go back to that. Select that. If I change the speed on this to fast, and then have a look at my CSS, so it adds on here, it adds the animated fast on the widget container. What we want to, actually I'm using the after pseudo selector, sorry. What we want to animate is the after pseudo selector, not the widget. So what we have to do is in the CSS, expand this out a little bit so we can see it a bit better. So what we want to do is tell it down here as an example, when we've got the so the widget that's got the WPG custom 3, which is our block animation, and it's got the animated fast. So that's the Elementor added element to tell it's a fast animation. We want to set our duration variable to our WPG animated fast, which is this variable up here, and it is the basically copy of what Elementor has for its animation classes. Now the reason we need this is because we're not animating the widget, we're animating an inner element of that widget, and there's no way to do that without referencing the class that's animated and then setting a duration based on that. So that's why we do that. So this allows me to be able to select the normal, medium, and fast and still animate inner elements. Hopefully that makes sense. This first one here, what we're doing is setting our duration based on the speed or duration we've set in the motion effects. We've also then got some colors. So up on this first one, I set that to the secondary color. So I added this class to it. So it's going to set the BG color variable to our global secondary. If I add the BG color accent, it's going to set the BG color variable to the global accent color. So that's why I do this, so that I can easily change the backgrounds there. Now, then we have our animation classes. So we're telling it that, so we know that Elementor will add the animation of WPG custom 3 to this block. And what we want to do is select the inner container, and we want to tell that to fade in. I'm using the WebKit prefixes here, so we make sure that it works across browser. And this is a common class. So what we want to do is we want to start it with not being visible, fade in, so that then we can apply the effect after that. So I've got a common class down here common keyframes down here for the opacity, which goes from 0 to 100. So let's go back up here. So the first thing, we want the whole widget container to fade in over, in this case, I'm saying it's the duration divided by 2. So it'll fade as it's animating. That's so we don't see the text, then see the block reveal coming after it. So that's what we do. And then what we do is we set the after pseudo selector to have a background color of our BG color. So that's going to be dependent on the class we add. If we add no class, it'll be just a standard, I think it sets it to the primary. I can't remember what I set up here. Where's our BG color? Yeah, BG color up here sets the primary if we don't define it. Okay. So then we get just basically position absolute, top and left 0, height of 100%. And then we want to animate over the duration using this keyframe here, which is these keyframes here, which tell it to expand to 100%. So from 0% to 100%, so it moves across, and then it swaps from the width being 0% and sets the left to 100%. So it sets the left over to right over the right side, and then it then reduces the width down to 0. So the net effect is this effect here. So it expands from the left, sets the left to 100%, and then expands it down to, contracts it down. So that's the effect we want, the block reveal effect. Okay. So the next one is basically exactly the same, except for the same, but we've set this class on it. So it's still got the custom 3, but we've set the class on it as the BG color accent. So we have the background as the block is the accent. Now, okay, so looking at the next one down, the clip reveal. So motion effects, I've set that to WPG custom 4. Go back to our site settings and have a look at our custom 4. Custom 4, where are we? Clip reveal from top. So same deal, we're allowing the normal, slow and fast to affect our actual duration. And what we're doing is we're setting the whole widget to have a clip path of a rectangle around the element. So we want to clip anything that's outside of that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to then look at the widget container inside of that. We're going to give it the animation keyframe of custom 4. In this case, I actually haven't added the WebKit prefixes yet, but it's a good practice. We probably should. We then tell this to translate y minus 100% down to 0. So the net effect of that is it'll start with a container around that with a clipping path. So it'd be 100% minus 100%, so it's outside of the clip, so we can't see it at all, and then we'll see it slide in as it clips. So I'm just going to do a F5 on that, so you can just watch the bottom one, the clip reveal top, and you see it slide in. Okay, there's a slow slide in. So let's check that if we want it to be fast. I select my clip reveal top and go to my motion effects and set that to fast. Okay, now have a look at that. It's a fast slide in. I set it to slow. It's a slow slide in. So it's pretty effective where by using these custom animations, which then get added to these drop downs, you can then specify your own keyframes. If you want to just animate the entire widget, that's easy. Looking here, if you're animating the entire widget, all you're doing is using that class name that's added on animation. The animation timing effect is added to that widget anyway, so you don't need to do anything special with these variables. And then it's just keyframes. If you want to animate inner stuff, like if you want to, for example, in this case, we're actually setting a clipping path around the widget. We're then animating the inner container to move outside of that. So we want the inner container, so we need to do this extra work so that we can actually set the speed of the animation or the duration of the animation based on whatever animation speed classes get added to the widget container. And then we animate the inner container. In this case, it's the after effect, the after pseudo selector, so we can do the block reveal. So it gives you a lot of power in how you create these. You can use these, create your own animations. You can give these their own names if you want to. So if you wanted to rename these, you could call these, for example, what I do up the top, what was my first one? Actually, no, I won't go there. I'll go to the 3, and we'll call that. Actually, what do I do for 3? I can't recall. 3 is block reveal. Okay, we can call that block reveal. Block reveal left, and call that block reveal just if you want to make them nice names, we can do that. Save the changes here. Okay, now I'm just going to go back here, skip out of that, and just press F5 so I can pick up the new class names. Okay, so now if I look at these, my motion effects, and my motion effects, it's going to be on default because the class is changed. So I'm going to go sliding down to the bottom here. Now it's called block reveal left. We'll go to the next one, do the same. Call that block reveal left. Save that. And look at our site settings and custom CSS. What do we call that class? We called it block reveal left. WPG block reveal left. Just a tip here, whenever you add any classes, global classes, always prefix it with something that's relevant to you. So our business is WP get, so I just do WPG hyphen, and then it separates it from any other name clashes of anything else that might be defined from a plugin or theme or someone else's work. So just separates your code nicely. So we want to actually copy that class name back to our CSS, and where we've called this custom 3, we need to replace all of those. Is there a replace function here? I don't think there is. No, there isn't. I'm just going to have to do this manually. To the left, anywhere I see this WPG custom 3, I've got to replace that. Okay. Motion, that's okay. Okay. That's okay. See, I've missed a few things here. I probably should have these without the prefix as well, but this works for the moment, so I'm just going to do those. The good practice here is anything that has a prefix, you should have the prefix as well. So in this case, let's, for example, here, if I go, I'm not sure about these for prefixes, let's just actually copy those, put them in there. We'll take the WebKit prefix out. Find out in the front end whether these have a prefix or not. So there we go. Let's test this out. So the block animations still work. So let's have a look at them. Go after. Yeah, so these look like they're all valid. If they're invalid, they'll actually give you an error here or show you an error in the Chrome DevTools. So there we go. That's how you can manage custom animations. It's basically CSS with classes, with animations and keyframes. And like I said in the last video, this is pretty much what the GSAP animation library does for its animation. It just adds classes and keyframes to do the animations. But it's just a nice little JavaScript interface where you can have timelines, all that sort of stuff. But I don't think you really need it for this sort of thing unless you've got more advanced stuff you want to do. So hopefully that's good value. I'll update the CSS that I shared yesterday and that code snippet, and I'll put that again in the description for this video. Hopefully that's someone's going to get some good value out of that.